My name is Angela Word, and I'm a co-facilitator for American Studies at Bulldog New Tech in El Paso, Texas.
And I am Cecilia Valdez. I am a co-facilitator with Angela Word, and our focus is with our 8th grade New Tech learners in El Paso, Texas at Bulldog New Tech.
So the project that we are going to be discussing with you is our Go West project. Our driving question is tightly close to the standards because this is a pivotal moment in 8th grade U.S. history. Our driving question is, why have societies been unsuccessful with avoiding conflict? We really needed to narrow down the standards on this one because it's a bridge in our curriculum between old America and new America. So to really get kids vested in this project, we started with a contest. They had 45 minutes to build a moving, working wagon to simulate the land race to west of the Mississippi. They had to use all recycled material, and they had to depend on their new team that they had just met that day to facilitate the process. They then raced them on our field, and the winner got a golden potato. We love that this brought in not only, of course, our collaboration, but also the STEAM factor of our program. And we saw a very quick bonding of our students. So that led into our project scenario was students would be making a spaghetti western based on different points of view in Manifest Destiny. Our curriculum only called for the stereotypical and traditional Anglo-Saxon settlers, but to dig deeper and to really give these kids what they deserved, we picked 7 different points of view that their spaghetti western would focus on, including northern settlers, southern settlers, Native Americans, English immigrants, Irish immigrants, of course, our African Americans that were in slavery at the point, as well as the point of view of Colombia or the U.S. government. We thought that this was important because they have to discern points of view no matter where they go in life, and the fact that they maybe had to display a point of view that maybe they don't agree with is important to open up their mindset.
So this real life scenario that began with them being engineers and creating this wagon, then becoming actors and videographers to create the spaghetti western, also really brought in the language arts text that we can struggle with in Texas. So our learning objectives of comparing different types of text, we definitely took into reading some primary source documents. And then we also tried to infer purpose behind not just the action of the immigrants, but the action of the government. So not only are we incorporating this huge challenge of every settler and pioneer, but from the challenge of the co-facilitator, how do we incorporate these 2 state-tested areas into this one project? And it is one that we truly embraced. As we continued on the project path, we started off with the painting of American progress. And from the painting of American progress, our first activity was to draw some inferences. And our students then were able to assess and give us feedback. And we had students give us some of their inferences and ideas from what they saw from the painting. And then we had those shared through a gallery walk forum. Some of our sections also shared those using the discussion feature in Echo, which we really appreciate for our larger sections, which really does allow them to be fully engaged. One of our first primary benchmarks was reading some primary source documents. How violent was the West? And after we read and students were kind of initially put off by the length of the essay, then we worked on chart paper with answering some questions, and that allowed students to scaffold their success and jointly work on some heterogeneous groupings that allowed for them to not only increase their collaboration with their written communication, but also display their knowledge and thinking. And very quickly we saw them be able to grow and then develop.
Mentioning collaboration, what we really are enjoying about this project is the fact that we're teaming up with 2 local schools, one of which is Grizzly New Tech and also Terrace Hills Middle School. So we have 1 New Tech school and 1 traditional school, and we are doing the same project. We are watching our kids flourish. We're getting feedback from both students, and I think that just adds a level of authentic audience for our students because they have been working with these campuses before, and now this is like the grand finale of the event. As a culminating event, these spaghetti westerns are going to be shown at the El Paso Museum of Art Theater, which holds up to 200 people. Parents are invited, members of the community are provided, and the entire community will watch these spaghetti westerns that our students created and they'll be able to critique each other and finally meet students from other campuses that they've been working with face to face and kind of enjoy the work that's led to it. In addition, they're also going to be going to the El Paso Museum of History, and they'll have more of a chance to collaborate with students from other schools in preparation for our next project that's already in the works.
Yes, students did get a chance to witness a kind of a Wild West reenactment. They did have some access to professionals, retired, which the troupe of Wild West actors is based mainly of retired educators. So I feel that they're mostly experts. I call them experts in the field of the Wild West, and they could come up to them, ask them questions. The people from the reenactment group held on to their focus the whole time, and they were able to receive questions. So the students were able to engage with people from the community in that aspect as they continued to gain knowledge through that real life way for their spaghetti Western. In addition to using web quests, each group also did research different people. Of course, people such as the Donner Party and cannibalism, those are always kind of like the ones that tend to jump out at you. But other people definitely found out more about their heritage, especially with the rise of such like, for example, online DNA testing. Everybody's more aware of their heritage. So I think lots of people were, myself included, I think were definitely not just the students, but everyone was sharing a lot more personalized stories with the local community. And we were definitely surprised with how much we were learning about the area in which we live in.
As far as assessment, of course, we had multiple step assessments. One of our first was a peer assessment, and they made, we called it a prop for their movie, and it was actually the traditional Manifest Destiny map, which shows the land acquisitions of the United States. It was full size, so students were able to denote points of interest, not only with the land acquisitions, but for their particular party. For example, the interests of the Native American tribes would be very different from the interests of the U.S. government. So students had to kind of understand and think critically about, well, the Native Americans might have been, we might call it St. Louis, but for the Native Americans, it was Cherokee land. That was one of the first, and we did some warm and cool feedback on that, and then students were able to go back, revise their prop before they actually put it into the map. Another formative assessment is the document-based question that we used for this. That was able to, strengthen their writing skills and their critical thinking skills.
An additional benchmark we had was the storyboard that needed to be completed for their spaghetti Western. We did have a bank of academic vocabulary and the content area, language, vocabulary that needed to be learned for both the language arts area and for the social studies realm and in the U.S. history area, and especially with the geography terms utilized by the map. And students had to incorporate those into the storyboard so that they can incorporate into the text scenes, the text-based scenes, which we found out to be was very enjoyable. Kids were almost sort of like, that was the benchmark, that was so easy. So it was such a joy to watch them be so successful in that area. As we continued on from creating the project path into further assessments, I would say that something that they established for their own progress was selecting the roles. So we had some students create their own original music in GarageBand, which about 90% of the groups selected to do that. Some of our students who are artistic in many ways took lead on the storyboard, and they were able to show their artistic skills and their artistic side that way. Their students created props for the spaghetti Western. Our students who were really good at researching and working on citations helped and scaffolded those skills with one another. And additionally, the knowledge and thinking with the written communication really came through, especially as we continue to scaffold that learning for all groups as we look at those final products, and which is definitely shown through the IACT, which we truly appreciate from each student. And
I think that we also brought in a local videographer to, show the students how to effectively shoot a movie on their iPhone. So many people are able to use iPhones for video these days, but we thought that we need to take it to the next level for them and bring in a professional to show them how to use the iPhone, what filters work out. And I think that once they have that, that's a skill that they can take on through high school and college, because anyone can use their phone to shoot a video, but now they have the scenes, the settings, the ratios that they need to really make professional looking videos. And that's something that they'll have for the rest of their life. We really appreciate him for coming in, and we are going to bring him back in to critique their videos because, as we all know, a project is never done. So we want to give them the opportunity once they see their video to move on and to see it on the big screen and then have that moment where they go, gosh, I wish we could have done this. Well, that's going to be kind of part of the refinement process is, well, let's bring it. What did you notice when you saw it on the big screen? Let's bring in our photographer, our community partner again, and see how we can fix that. And that way we can give them one more opportunity to refine and really, really make it a product that they want to keep in their student portfolio. Something that they can use as a standard to build off of for the rest of their academic and professional career.
And in addition to that exchange they're able to have with this gentleman who is self-employed, and he shares with them experiences that he has in taking videos and being self-employed, and just kind of the pitfalls of what it's like and how difficult it can be to be self-employed and being a local business owner. He shared a lot just of overall real-life knowledge that he has learned over the time that he has been self-employed, and he recently shared how he was able to purchase his own studio, and just kind of a lot of in-depth questions they were able to ask him. They were also able to send him short little clips that he was able to kind of give him some ideas on how to fix small little issues they were having. So he's been a really good asset. In addition to that, we've talked about the immigration push and pull factors. El Paso's been in the news a lot lately for immigration. And so we share with students, so is this a recent problem, or has this been a problem that's been going on for a long time? And so many of our students are surprised by these problems are not new problems. So I think that when we start to look at these roots, as our students who are now 14 and 15 start to begin to look at these problems with this lens, that gives them an idea of how they can be solved. And when we think of these real world applications and we have these national rallies that are in our hometown, they talk about how they could incorporate these solutions that we're learning about, and how these stories are oftentimes told from such a skewed point of view.
And I like that you mentioned that, because I think it was a moment for empowerment for our kids to know that, I mean, this is in the national news. This is a big issue politically, and now we're talking about it, and the discussion is already being had with our kids, and they will be the ones to tackle it because they're already seeing the bigger picture at such a young age. So that was really, really fulfilling for me personally, and I could see the lights going off in their eyes.
Yes, so as we begin to reflect on this process, I think that it was a successful learning experience for all our students because we allowed students that voice to tell that story, to learn more about their backgrounds. And even though they had initially been assigned a role, they were still able to weave that in and find common threads with so many common immigration stories that we hear through this westward expansion. And us being in Texas, we still like to think that we're special, but is there something special about Texas? Probably.
Moving forward, I definitely could see us doing this project again. I would love to get it maybe on a bigger scale. We're talking about possibly contacting the local Alamo Draft House for next year's premiere. We love the El Paso Museum of Art, but we want to think even bigger. We have an auditorium for 200. What if we had a venue open to the public and to really give those kids the incentive to say, this is something that I can do. This is something that I'm worthy of, and they completely are. We also discussed maybe more time to really let the kids show off and to give them an opportunity to refine their product, and maybe more student voice and choice with how we give them, well, whose point of view would you like to reflect? I think that that's definitely something that we need to consider the next time we do this project.
Thank you.